Okay, so far we made our movies template, our overall template with a header, navigation bar, sidebar, and formatted some of our basic text. Based on that, we made our index page, which is our home page. Made some nested div tags for movie posters. You can make nested div tags for images and text if you want to. We made these images links to different movie pages. We made our about page with some basic information. I showed you how to float images right and left. We did the tickets page where we inserted a table and formatted that using CSS. We also made an individual movie page template. I made a template that I could base all my other movie pages on. And then we started to make our individual movie pages based on that template. This pages feature some information, a poster, and a movie. Now we're going to add some tabs to our individual movie pages, to our different movie pages. I'm going to add these to each page. This is my Night of the Living Dead page. This is not my template. This is the Night of the Living Dead page. I'm going to get off the live view. I'm going to position my cursor on my last div tag I put in there, my movie div tag. I'm going to arrow twice on my keyboard, arrow right twice on my keyboard, so I'm back in the container. Or I'm sorry, I'm back in the content. Now if I look on the code side, I can double check, make sure I'm back here in the content area. I can actually delete that div tag or that paragraph tag if I want and insert my next div tag on this side. This is going to be for our tabs. We're going to see how we can put some tabs in here with layers of information. The first thing I'm going to do is create a div tag for that tab. Under insert structure, div tag, this is going to be a class. I'm going to call this tabs info. You can call it whatever you want. This new CSS rule is going to my movie style sheet, CSS. Okay. Box. There's no real right or wrong here. I want this to line up with my other div tags. So I'm going to make the box width 93.33%. The height I'm going to keep it on auto. I want this to float left. And we're going to do some margins. I'm going to do a margin on the left just so this div tag will line up with my other div tags I've made before. I'm going to make this 3.33%. And I'll put a bottom margin of 20 pixels. There's no right or wrong there. You can do more or less. So a width of 93.33% plus my left margin, my right margin will give me 100%. Auto height, so stretch out to accommodate whatever I put in there. And I want this to float left, bottom margin 20%, left margin of 3.33%. Say OK and OK. Now let me check on the design side. There's my new div tag down here with the default text. I can change the background color if I want, if I select that new div tag. Then I have my CSS designer panel where I can change the CSS rules for that div tag. So I'm on my tabs info selector. I'm going to go to the background. I'm just going to change the background of that so the colors match these other div tags. Click on there, hit enter. I don't need this default text. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to hit return. And I'm going to insert my div tag, my new tabs panel right into there. So I can go to insert, jQuery UI, jQuery user interface. There's several choose from. I think your book has to do accordion. There's all kinds of other little elements you can add in there. Check boxes, buttons, button sets, but what we're interested in is adding tabs. If I click that, it'll take a second. And now I have my tabs inserted into that new div tag. Before I start working this, I'm going to save this page again. File, save. And you'll see that it's going to save all these different elements. All these different elements. There's some images that'll give me the look of my tabs. Some JavaScript files and 3 CSS files. Say OK. Now I can start editing these tabs, editing the labels and adding some content. If I ever accidentally click off this tab, I can click back here and click that blue tag or label here, and I can access my tabs, and I access the tab information in the properties window down here. You can see I have three, by default it has 3 different tabs. And let's look at online to see how this works. I'm going to preview this in Safari just so we can see what it looks like. Okay. So there's tab 1 with content 1, tab 2, content 2, tab 3 with content 3. So I can put 3 layers of information basically. Alright, so let's see how we can edit the text in those tabs. Come back here to Dreamweaver. So again, if I click off, I can always click back on that blue. Here's my 1, 2, 3 tabs. I can always add a tab here. If I need one more, I could always take some away if I don't need them. How do I select these different tabs for editing? A couple ways. I can click tab 1 here, then I can highlight my text. Don't delete it, just highlight it. And we're going to add some information here, whether it's a plot, overview, whatever you want to put on there. I'm going to highlight the content and add my stuff here. Night of the Living Dead is a classic zombie flick, etc., etc., etc. So you'd add whatever you want to that, whether it's a synopsis or plot information. Okay, so that's tab 1. I can click back into this blue tab, select tab 2, and then edit that. I'm going to highlight that text, and I can say review, highlight the content. I found this movie to be an excellent horror, excellent thriller / monster movie, etc., etc. So add some more, add your movie review in there. Okay, once again I can grab that blue tab and select tab 3 down here. Another way to do that is if I hover up here in the design view, I can see if there's an eye that appears in the tabs that I am not editing. I am on tab 2, so I can poke out the eyeball of tab 3 and edit tab 3. So I can highlight tab 3, and I can call this one cast. Say cast and crew, whatever you want. I'm going to come down here, cast and crew. Info. Alright, so once again, a couple ways of editing. I can grab the blue tab here, or label, select my different tabs for editing down here, or I can come out here in the design view and poke the eyeball out of the tabs that I want to edit, then edit those. Be careful to do it either one of those ways. If I just start highlighting these other tabs that aren't selected and start typing on them, things could get out of whack. Things could get broken and not work correctly. Alright, I'm going to show you a quick way to get some information for your movies. I could go to a specific movie in IMDb. Night of the Living Dead. This usually works in Chrome better than Safari. And if I wanted to copy some of this information about the cast, I should be able just to highlight and take a few of them here. copy those. Then I should be able to paste it right here into my cast and crew information tab. And it'll paste it as a table, and the table will be formatted with however we formatted our other table. I could always make this wider, change the size of these cells and such. But I think it works pretty good for me for right now. Actually, I'll make this a little bit bigger. So I can put my cast and crew information in there, resize it. Now, if I change any of the CSS rules for this table, it would change in my tickets table. What I could do is give this table a specific ID name and then do some specific changes if I wanted to. All right. Don't need that, I don't think, so I'm going to delete that information. All right, so let's see if this is working correctly. So this is my completed movie page for Night of the Living Dead, Night of the Living Dead information, movie poster, movie, trailer, plot, review, and cast and crew. I could do some CSS changes to some of these different tabs. I'd be a little careful in that. One thing I will want to do, may want to change is some of the text. Change them to different fonts. I could highlight, position my cursor within these different tabs and format the text. I can select the different sections here. This is, and then I look over here in my CSS Designer panel. I can do some changes over here, background colors, stuff like that, for my specific tabs. Okay, I could also grab some of these navigation areas of the tabs and change some of the specific rules for those. Be careful, sometimes it's easy to mess things up. There's my UI tabs, nav li. So I could change the font family, which I did here. I could change background color if I want. Some of these have background images for the gradients, so be aware of that. And I think I'll just leave that the way it is. Actually, maybe I'll change it to that pink also. I think I'll just leave that the way it is, actually. There we go. Now I preview this in Safari. And it has a different font for my tabs and a different background color here. So you don't have to do any CSS changes, but you could always format that also. Alright, so I'm going to save this, save all, and that's how you add the tabs. You have to do that for each page. If you do format tabs using CSS for one page, that will apply to all my other pages.